Welcome to the State of the Second podcast. My name is John, and today we're joined by Tamkin Collins, owner of Cakes Concealed Carry, a women-owned brand crafting stylish, discreet CCW bags, holsters, and accessories made for secure on-body concealed carry, blending fashion with function. They offer a complete everyday carry system without the tactical look. Tamkin, how are you? Thank you for joining us.
I'm well. That was quite the introduction. I don't even know how you read all that without screwing anything up, but yeah, I'm doing great and I'm really happy to be here.
So how did you get inspired to do this and get into the concealed carry line of items?
Honestly, it was a personal journey because I guess Cakes was never meant to be this brand that it is right now. It really started with when I chose to get my CCW license, and you go through the entire, I'm in California, by the way, so we have no gun rights. You basically have to go through like 16 hours of training to be able to even apply to get your CCW permit. And I was in this training. We've got like 5 or 6 instructors. You can only get trained by a DOJ certified post instructor. So we had to have a police officer in the room. It was like this huge ordeal. And everybody was saying off-body carry was just like not acceptable. And of course, I'm going to believe everything everyone says because they are smarter than me and more experienced than me, and they're speaking with authority. I've got a cop in the room. What am I going to say? No, I'm going to, carry off body. So, and that was a time where I really was just buying anything that the instructors told me to buy. So I was spending hundreds of dollars on all kinds of holsters and gear and, getting like this super hard, like CCW belt. And when you start wearing that stuff, once you get your CCW, you realize that this is a lifestyle. It's not like, hey, I'm gonna CCW today because I'm going to the hood. Like, that's not what it is. It's a lifestyle you carry every day. You become, a person that thinks in a defensive mindset, and it has to be something you can do every day. And I kept thinking, like, wouldn't it be better if I could just carry the way I will be able to say yes to carrying every day? Like, even if it's not appendix, IWB appendix, using all the gear that they said, like, what if there was a way that I would choose to take my gun every single day? And off body was the answer for me because none of the stuff that they were recommending was just working with my lifestyle or my body type. So finally, I started just like carrying with like other tactical bags that look like super like, I have a gun. And at first I didn't care because I thought it was cool that I had a gun. I was like, hey, I have a gun now, like mother need to know I have a gun.
Stockpiling ammo can be a daunting task and cost a lot of money. Bulk buying all at once just kills the savings account. Well, now Ammo Squared's got you covered. Just like a savings account, you can put a specific amount of money towards the type of calibers and type of ammo you want and build up an ammo savings account. They have a climate-controlled facility with over 70 different calibers. Guys, this is as simple as just plug and play and forget. And guys, if you don't need that ammo anymore, you can sell it back to Ammo Squared for a profit. Go to Ammo Squared right now to start your ammo savings account.
And then as I continued in my kind of CCW lifestyle evolution, I realized that I don't want people to know that I have a gun or suspect that I have a gun. And also, I kind of want to look feminine. I like everyone was saying, hey, now that you're a CCW holder, you're going to dress differently. It's almost like now that you're a mother, you're going to chop off all your hair. Like, I don't have to do that. I can find other ways to be able to have like a new phase in my life without having to change who I am. So that's when I started experimenting with bag carry and, just having the bags that I actually was carrying every day, putting a gun in there, realizing it was so unsafe. I couldn't even see where the trigger was as I'm trying to like install this like holster in there. And finally, my husband was like, hey, enough of this complaining. I'll just design you a bag and we'll just make one. And it was going to be like the cost of like buying a Louis Vuitton, like a fancy Hermes bag or something, like $12,000 for a prototype. Hey, just make a prototype. You'll have one really cool bag for yourself. It'll be my gift to you. And so we started the journey of just making one bag for me. And now we have sold probably 6,000 bags in our first year.
Holy cow. That's amazing. You brought up the California concealed carry class. I have taken that class. It sucks. I'm sorry for California residents. It's also very confusing because I took the non-resident class because I live in Arizona. So I travel into California because we have a office there. And I took the non-resident class and then just trying to understand the laws and each law by county. I feel for you guys. I'm so.
Yeah. It sucks so bad. And I can't even carry like in my specific county, I can't carry a 32 ACP, which I bought the cutest little mouse gun. And I was like, oh, I'm going to carry this. It's so cute. It was going to be my wedding gun that I bring to weddings, deep concealment. And I found out that my county specifically does not allow 32. So therefore I bought the gun for nothing. It's just going to sit in my gun room now.
No, and that was the confusing part because I did mine through Riverside County.
Yeah,
And
that's where I'm at.
That's where you're at. So I read that and I'm like, what do you mean I can't carry this? I have to kill what? What do you mean? So for those of you who haven't taken the California non-resident class, highly recommend getting it if you're planning on traveling to California. But the class is just a lot of craziness. And what made me really laugh about the California laws as being an Arizona resident where I'm like, it's free. We can do whatever we want. If you have a knife in your pocket that doesn't have a pocket clip, that's a felony. But if you have a gun in your pocket, in the other pocket, that's just a misdemeanor. So I don't understand y'all's laws, but it's confusing as heck.
Yeah. And I think the justification behind that was that the Second Amendment only protects guns and not knives. I thought arms was arms. Don't even get me started on the infringement out here. I can rant for days.
Well, before we continue to rant about California, let's continue talking about your story. So you sold 6,000 bags in the first year. How has the reception been from the industry side as you are getting into this? I saw you at SHOT Show. I saw you walking around at the Project Gunway. Thank you for my brain working for once. And showing off your items. How has that reception been from not only all the sales, but from the industry side and all the people coming up to you?
It has been really incredible. I'm super blessed. And I think, and it's not necessarily, I would like to think Cakes is a great product, but I don't think it's only because Cakes is a great product. I think that the industry has been waiting for something like this because sure, gun purses have been around for a very, very long time, but that wasn't the point. The point was for me to create a product that I can live up to the scrutiny of these firearms instructors that told me no. They said, you cannot carry a purse because of the true alert drill, where if someone's going to run at you from 21 feet away with a knife, how fast can you close that gap? And I think 1.5 seconds is the answer. So you have to be able to go from, perceived threat to shots on target in 1.5 seconds. This is just like made up scenario, right? Like I think the police department made that up to help justify when they can use lethal force. And ultimately it didn't matter to me. That's what all the instructors were using to tell me that I couldn't carry off body. So as long as I can create a purse that was discreet and looked feminine and was something I was willing to carry every day that didn't conflict with my outfit, but I could get that sub 1.5 second shots on target, that's what I was going for. And I think ultimately, like, we were successful in meeting those technical requirements. And then, of course, being a cute bag was awesome because not only can women now actually compete with IWB draw times, they can do it in a way that's like totally discreet, like actually fits your outfit, looks like any other bag on Amazon. I got a lot of people online that's like, well, now everybody knows that those crossbodies have a gun in it. And it's crazy. I was sitting in Vegas looking at every single woman, and like, I think half of them had a crossbody bag. Doesn't mean half of them have a gun. And I'm not talking about in the Venetian in the SHOT Show area. I'm talking about just in Vegas. Crossbody bags have been around for a very, very long time. And I was wearing them before I had a gun, and I'm wearing them now that I have a gun. So I think it's kind of like, saying like, oh, you make yourself a target by carrying off. Not really. Everybody has a purse. Like everybody has a bag. So whether or not I'm going to, rely on that and then not be situationally aware is different. But that's where training comes into play. So I think the reception has been very, very positive, overwhelmingly so. And there's only room for growth here because we've kind of like perfected like our Madeline model. And we're really looking to offer more variation to carry bags to women. And we're also going to stay in our lane too. There's other brands out there that do great stuff tactically. They do great stuff for men. And we're just going to stay in our lane and be like, hey, ultra cute bag, super awesome, high end leather product for women and has a very rapid deployment feature for a firearm. And like, we're just going to stay in our lane and continue to do a good job.
No, and I appreciate you guys doing that. And for the people who said that crossbody bags just means you have a gun, that's insane to think, because you, like you said, crossbody bags have been around forever. Not everyone has a gun in it. Not everything. It's the ones that make me think that they stand out are when they're ultra tactical. Yours is not ultra tactical. Yours is fashion forward and showing off that you can be confident when you carry with it and be fashionable at the same time.
Yeah, that's 100% our goal. And we're trying to push like the cakes system a little bit, because what we realized is that a lot of things that I started to do just because it was cute actually had like a tactical advantage. So when I went to the Empowered 2A, they had a National Women's Range Day in Vegas in, I think like 2 years ago. It was in like the springtime. And I went there and I was wearing this little chain around, it was clipping onto either side of the bag and it went around my waist. I just thought it was cute. Then I realized that it added 3 points of stability to the purse, to where if I'm drawing one-handed or if I'm running, it's stabilizing the entire bag so that your pistol frame doesn't end up in a random place when you're drawing it just because you're moving around so much. It like lashes it to your chest. And so that ended up becoming like a thing that we do now. We're like, hey, we do waist chains with like little cute gold charms. And I mean, ultimately, it's just cute. And you're not thinking like, oh my gosh, like this girl's got a gun. It's like, oh my God, look at that cute chain around your waist. Like, where'd you get that chain? Like, why is there a little cupcake hanging off of it? Because we're just playing on the whole cakes thing.
No, I love that. Now, I kind of want to dive in real quick. You talked about you got your concealed carry permit. I want to know the why. Can you explain to people and kind of your firearms journey on how you got into this?
Yeah, it's been a really long journey. I think I've always been very I would say like be responsible for your own safety and be responsible for your own outcome. And growing up, I come from an immigrant family. So my family immigrated here from Bangladesh. There's a lot of women are weak mindset. There, you need a man to take care of you. Like, you know, women live at home until they get married. And then the man, you know, the husband becomes the caretaker of the woman. It's almost like women are a burden, right? So I really rebelled against that a lot in childhood. I was always like punk rock, skater girl, surfer girl. Like I want to do all the things that I wasn't allowed to do. I want to be a drummer in a rock band. So since like early childhood, I've been rebelling against that, I guess, notion of like women are weak, women are a burden. And ultimately, I think just like growing up in California, I've had other like more traumatic things happen, which I think I'll save for others. But yeah, everyone says like everyone's path to firearms ownership either is a sister or a tragedy. Like you either have an awesome sister that's like, hey, let's go to the range together, or you have a tragedy in your life where you realize that no one will ever be responsible for my outcome again. And that unfortunately, that was kind of like my origin story with it is I was an abuse survivor. And when I was old enough to, you know, like live on my own and take care of myself, it was kind of always in the back of my mind that like, hey, I'm kind of small. And anyone, even like a larger woman could like overpower me very easily. I mean, I try to hit the gym, but come on, like I've like 115 pounds. Like, what am I going to do? Like against even a guy that doesn't hit the gym that weighs like 200 pounds. It's, you know, like mass moves mass. And I've always thought about keeping a firearm, but I was just like too lazy to like go and get the training. And, you know, I never could afford a gun. That's another thing is like, we've got so many taxes layered on top of taxes here in California that it ultimately just becomes so expensive for the average person. It's different now that I've got money and it's like, I've got a freaking Trigicon SRO on every single firearm pistol that I own, but not everybody can do that. So I had to get to the point where I could afford, you know, like California CCW costs about like $1,000 when you're out the door. So when we were like, hey, we're in a good place financially, we own a home that we can have safe storage. We thought about all these things. And then both me and my husband took the steps to get basic pistol training and safety training before we even made a decision to buy a gun. But we wanted to do things like super legit. And also like our kind of like political ideology background is a little bit weird because like we were both like liberals. And then we bought our first gun and we just got fully radicalized into libertarianism. So it was like a very slippery slope for us because we were the kind of people that thought that, hey, you know, like, you know, gun laws help with safety. Like we want people to be safe. And then I'm like, wait, nobody else is safe. Like, so that doesn't mean that we want to be unsafe, but we very quickly realized that like penalizing people for, not knowing or not being able to comply with laws isn't necessarily like having a positive outcome on people that actually follow the law, like me. So that was the journey. It was just wanting to be fully independent from, I just don't ever want to be like, hey, I need to call the cops for help. Like I want to see, any event through to its outcome based on my own readiness to handle a situation.
No, I totally understand that. And GOA preaches that through our definition of a gun rights activist and how you got involved. I kind of want to dive in real quick. So you said you were a liberal, you've gotten into guns, you've switched to libertarian. What was that journey like? Because a lot of people during the COVID years and after saw that they wanted to take that personal responsibility for self-defensing their hands, and they've switched their mindset, and we've seen a lot of them kind of come over to the 2A side and now are like, hey, I need to vote to change some of these laws that are infringing on people or making it difficult for people that may not have the money to get into the Second Amendment space. So how is that journey going? My mind has just completely flipped.
Yeah. It didn't take very much time for my mind to completely flip either, because just buying the gun, right? I had to take a test to get my FSC, which is your firearm safety card. In order to pass this test, a lot of people are like, it's easy, just go in there and try. No, like, how are you supposed to know that, like, in California, the lowest age to purchase a firearm is actually 21? Like, that doesn't make sense to me, because these Marine like children are out overseas, like, with AR-15. So like what? So like all of this, like really crazy questions that you have to answer about like what is or is not a felony. Or maybe, the fact that, you don't even know how a firearm works at this point. You're just curious to buy a firearm, but yeah, you have to pass the test. My husband failed the test. So we had to come home, study, and like try to figure out like, okay, what does all this stuff mean? I don't even know what the parts of a gun are. I don't know. Like, okay, we call this the muzzle. Like we're by ourselves trying to learn this. It's super weird. Right. And so we go in, we had to go 2 days in a row. We lost the money because we failed the test. So we went back, took the test again. Then after that, we didn't have any idea like what gun to buy, because it's like so culturally not a thing that you talk about normally. Now it is. Now I'm like, guns are a part of my life. I got my Hellcat right here. It should be a part of normal life as much as freedom of speech is, because it's like one of our God-given rights, right? So like, it's weird that none of us know anything, and we're over here like on this like lonesome journey to try to buy a gun. So when we went to actually buy the gun, we had to bring proof of citizenship, a passport. That passport address needs to match the address that you live in right now. We had just moved here. So then it's like, okay, great. I've got to establish utilities and bring 2 copies of utility bills that match that address. And those 2 utility bills need to be different utilities for my husband, because we can't share a same utility bill. So I had to figure out what utility is going to be under his name, switch the utilities, have 2 months of consecutive utility bills or 2 different services, then have those to prove my address. Then I also had to bring in my car registration to prove that that address specifically was linked to my address that I'm currently physically living in right now. I couldn't just be like, hey, I just moved here from LA. I live in California. Like, I'm getting a California CCW. Like, it doesn't matter. It needs to be in the county. So then we had to, bring all that stuff in, and then of course do our fingerprint to even be able to do the purchase. At that time, it was a 30-day wait. So I had just bought a shotgun for the house. I had to wait a month to be able to buy my Glock 19. So then it's like this waiting game of, all right, well, I got to come back and run background again for this other gun, and then do my fingerprints again. And then I finally have a gun that I can even start my CCW journey with. Like now I can practice with a pistol. Like, I have something. It's been like a month. And then when I go, I took the basic pistol trading class. I understood, okay, like, here's how I line up my sights. Like, you can't even do that if you don't have a gun. So, I don't have friends with guns that I can just be like, hey, like, let me come borrow your gun. I would never let somebody borrow my gun. But just understanding the fundamental sight alignment, trigger press, 4 rules of firearm safety, like all this stuff then came into play where I can finally spend some time familiarizing myself with a firearm. And I'm really lucky. I had Ladies Led in Laughter as a group out here in the Coachella Valley, where once a month they shut down the range. It's only for women. And so I was able to go there. They were like, hey, you can try my gun. You know, we like kind of were able to socialize different firearms to someone that's like a brand new firearms person like me, right? This is all before even a CCW, okay? All this that has happened, this is before a CCW.
As liberty-loving Americans, we know how important it is to put your money where your values are, and that is why we are proud to partner with Right to Bear. Right to Bear is a cornerstone in the community for self-defense protection, and we are proud to be offering an exclusive discount.
Use code GOA at checkout to save 15% off the lifetime of your membership. Again, that's code GOA to save 15% off on the lifetime of your membership.
We realized that the whole point of having a firearm to defend yourself doesn't apply to you in California unless you have a CCW, because you now have this pistol and you can only carry it in your home. Like you can't leave, like you can't even walk to the sidewalk with it. That is illegal in California. So now we had to start this entire other process of having your concealed carry permit, which was insane. It was just all of the things that we had to prove again. I had to prove how did I become a citizen? I had to get my naturalization certificate, submit that to the police department. I had to have 3 references in California. So I had like friends that I had to put down. They had to answer the phone when the sheriff calls to like vouch for me and my personality and the fact that I'm not involved with the cartel. Like that's insane. Like do people do that to like let you have kids, you know? Like, I just didn't understand. Like, in order for you to exercise your First Amendment, I need 3 people to vouch for you that you're not anti-Semitic. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it felt like to me. I just thought it was insane. And then, of course, if no one answers the phone because, you know, people have jobs, then it's like, well, we can't give it to you until Don Murray answers his phone call. So it was just ridiculous. And on top of that, there's a psychological exam that's a part of this CCW process, which happens in person. So during COVID and all that didn't matter. You had to come in person to interview at the sheriff's office to have like an evaluation and a questionnaire where you sit there and then they ask you things and you have to answer everything properly and correctly. They also make you go back like 5 years if you have a parking ticket or a traffic ticket that's over a certain amount in value. You have to explain yourself. What happened? Why did you get pulled over? Are you a bad person? It was insane. And then on top of that, it was like live scan. Like forget all the other fingerprints I gave. I had to go do a live scan fingerprint only at the sheriff's office, not anywhere else. So like the amount of time I had to take off of work to do this is ridiculous. So all of this just made me think, right? Because for me, I had a flexible job. I could do it. For my husband too, I'm like, hey, just put in a couple hours of PTO. You can do it. What about the mom who works 3 jobs and takes the metro at night to get to where she needs to go to do all? Like, how is she going to defend herself and her children was my question. She's working 3 jobs just to make ends meet and take care of her kids. Like, how is she going to take a day off of work because she needs to go do her live scan for the sheriff's department? How is she going to take 2 days off of work to sit through a 16-hour CCW course that we had to sit through? And also the fact that you have to shoot every single gun that you want on your permit to qual it. I understand, like, we want to make sure people know how to shoot, but at the same time, 40 feet is really far. I'm running away if a threat is 40 feet. Like, what the? And I also have, like, my tiny little Springfield Hellcat. Okay, 40 feet is kind of hard. Hey, my groupings are good, though. But I'm just saying, it took me a while to get those groupings. If someone is, like, in fear for their life and they want to just hurry up and get into, they want a CCW, they want a weapon, they want to get proficient enough to be okay, it's a lot for them to go through. I keep thinking about the single mom that's probably a minority or person of color that's working 3 jobs, taking the metro with a bunch of crackheads and homelesses here in LA. And she's the one that, she needs to protect herself and her family, because guess what? Those are the places in the communities where the cops don't come. They just don't come. So it's like, if we're going to play into like the left, right? We are always advocating for minorities, like protecting these people. We're advocating for like, hey, there's a lot of police brutality and violence against this community. Well, yeah, cool. Let's let them protect themselves.
I couldn't agree more. So you brought up a ton of great points, and I'm going to pick through them here and there and get you a question here. But the 40 feet thing, I argued that in my class. I was like, 40 feet, everything in my body is telling me, and everything I've learned, 40 feet, that's distance that I could get more distance from. And it's California. So you're telling me I got to shoot 40 feet in the class, but if I do it in real life, I'm going to be questioned about it. And they're gonna crucify me. Oh, you had enough distance to run. And I brought that up to my instructor. I was like, 40 feet is a lot of distance, and I know people are going to crucify because there's been incidents where people have shot 40 feet. I can understand what people are saying, and there's few and far between. But at the same time, like everything that I've been taught is get distance, get distance, get distance. 40 feet's plenty of distance to get away from the fight, and not get involved. And then people are going to question you. The other thing, the barrier to entry, you hit it on the head like perfectly. The barrier to entry in California is just, you can't charge that much for a constitutionally given right. And you're forcing people out of the Second Amendment because you're charging so much and it's costing so much. $1,000 is, for some people, like you said, the woman who works 3 jobs to make ends meet. $1,000 just to get the permit and all the classing and everything you have to do. That's not counting the gun. She's going to be investing $1,500 to $2,000. That's a lot.
And time off of work.
Yeah.
Because these offices are not open on the weekends. They are like, hey, you need to come Monday or Tuesday between 8 to 12. And I'm like, really? Like, I had to take off work for that.
And it's insane to me. And, as I'm fortunate enough to live in this free state and of Arizona and things like that. But as a California resident, and being that person who has swapped from over to the libertarian side, how do you encourage your friends to not only get into this and kind of change their mindset, but also to encourage them to vote against this stuff?
That's really hard. So one of the first things I did at my CCW class was donate to the CRPA because the instructors were like, hey, look, in California, the CRPA, like they're suing Governor Newsom and, they're fighting for our rights. It's important. So I gave like $25, right? And then I got an email saying, hey, in your area, there's a chapter. So I was like, hey, I'll go and I'll just see what's up. I was curious and I wanted more gun friends because all my liberal friends were like breaking up with me at this point. So I went, and then that's where I started really realizing the legislative impacts, because this is like multiple full-time jobs of people that just to keep up with what's happening. I think California passed or proposed over 1,000 bills a year, which who reads them? Because I think when you're over legislating, no one's reading anything anymore. I don't even think the people we've elected to read this crap is reading it, because it's insane. Like for me to thumb through SB2 and be like, well, actually, you can't be across from a school or on the sidewalk of a school. And if you're going to drive to pick up your kids, you need to put it in your trunk and lock it. And I'm just like, no one's reading this stuff. Like it's insane. And so when it comes to my transition away from, like extreme, like anti-gun legislation over to like zero tolerance pretty much at this point, it really started with my own experience that I went through all of this. And I'll bring my friend Marissa into the conversation, because she was also a new girl just like me. And she was like, hey, I had this crazy thing happen where 3 guys or 4 guys showed up on my property to rob the property. And I was alone and defenseless. And I literally had nothing. I didn't know what to do. So I was hiding. And I was like, that sucks. Like they're on your property to rob and rape you and you're hiding. Like I have many amazing scenarios in my head that I could just like imagine that could have gone. But I'm just glad she was safe, and she was making the decision to be armed now. Right. So I was talking about, hey, in order for you to buy your gun, you got to go through all this stuff. Like everything I just said, repeat. And she was like, wow, that's really good that it's hard to get a gun. And I was like, what? Girl, what? And I had to remind her that, The gangster down the street doesn't have to do any of this. He can just go to his cartel buddy and just get a gun. Like, the only person that is going through all of this is you and me, girl, because we give any flying F about law and order. So the people that are law abiding are going to abide by the law. But I mean, robbing you is already illegal. Raping you is already illegal. All kind of bad stuff is already illegal, right? Like, I don't think like that's kind of what I had to say. Like, girl, no, like it's not good. It's good to get safety training. Like, it should be incentivized. Like, no, come with me. I will take you. Ladies Led in Laughter. We're all going to train together. There's incentives and there's community built around this. But at the same time, like, feeling like some sort of safety because you, the law abiding citizen who is in danger, had to wait 3 months to be able to buy a gun is not the right way of thinking about things. So I think it's always important to remind folks that gun legislature or anti-gun legislature doesn't protect anyone. It protects criminals, because all it does is slow us down. And ultimately, like, I think about, how would the world be if every single person that was a good person had a gun? Because I think folks would think twice about, like, robbing a liquor store, right? Like, if the liquor store owner was, like, ready to shotgun is in your face, you know, like, try me, I will die before you take my property. And I just feel like we're losing that spirit through, like, boiling the frog, right? Like, we're, like, adding a tiny bit of legislation. Oh, it makes sense. Common sense gun control. And next thing you know, like, it's 3 months before you can buy a gun. And that's also, like, you're an amazing person and have had zero traffic violations. But the fact that we even looked at my traffic violations is insane. Like, you can't stop me from having a gun if someone rear-ended me and then I had, like, a police report about it. So I think the change in, like, focusing on the legislature really happened with, one, is my instructor recommended that I, donate to the CRPA. They started emailing me all the stuff that's going on. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is actually very scary. And then, then you start learning that, hey, look, like, you'll have organizations like Gun Owners of America, like, you're suing, you're doing this, you're doing that. Something gets deemed unconstitutional. And what does California do? They put a stay on it. And then I started realizing what that was. It doesn't matter if it's unconstitutional because California does it anyways. And I just don't understand how that's legal. And I'm getting, like, actually really, like, over it. I'm starting to sweat because I'm very passionate about this, is that you can just get away with this and no one's going to do anything about it. Like, California can just do this to its citizens, and there's nothing we can do about it. And I talked to the gun store owners too. We got all this extra sin tax, right? You can't tax a right. That's illegal. There's, like, is it Madison versus Marbury? Like, you can just ignore it. Like, just ignore it. It's a fake law. But the gun store owners are like, no, but I need this gun store to feed my family, and I don't want them to come shut me down. I'm going to pay the tax. And I want to be like, you bootlicker. But I understand. I get it. Like people are scared, but, like, I mean, look where that's getting us as a country. Like, it's not good.
No, I totally agree. And you brought up the legislation stuff in California. We have our own office in California. It's called Gun Owners of California. That is actually where GOA was founded from, originally by H.L. Richardson, our founder. And we were at SHOT Show, and Adam, who runs our California office, him and I got to sitting down talking, and he goes, yeah, dude, I was at the legislator until 2 a.m. I go, why were you at the legislator until 2 a.m? Because they come in all at one time and just vote on all these bills, and we have to be present to do it. And they'll vote until 2, 3 a.m, and we have to be there to fight this anti-gun legislation and continue to fight. It's crazy to me how California does not follow it's an argument of state rights versus federal rights, but they keep taxing God-given rights like the Second Amendment with ridiculous things. We just saw them do, I'm going to get on my high horse, I'm going to keep going hard. We just saw them pass a law against accessories that they have to go through FFLs and all this stuff.
Oh my gosh.
We're seeing optics, everything. And it's just crazy because they're not regulated items. You can't keep doing this, and they're going to keep doing it. And the best thing we have to do is just get other people in the fold. And your friend's a great example of, see how hard it is to get a gun. Well, we had a gentleman on the show named Ton Jones. He worked in Hollywood and grew up in California, and he said on the show, if people who want to listen to his episode is way back then, finish this one first. Ton said during COVID, he had people in Hollywood come up to him and go, "I need a gun," and he goes, "Okay, you got to go through all this stuff," and they go, "Well, I'm better than that person. I know better. You should just sell me a gun and I don't need to go through all these hoops." And he goes, "You're the ones who voted for this. You're the ones who pushed this through. You wanted this stuff. You wanted to make it hard. And because you are holier than thou, or holier than rules for me, but not for thee.
Not for thee.
It doesn't make sense." And I hate to pick on your friend, but that's a great example of now they're educating themselves on what actually goes into this and how hard it is for people to get it, and not realizing that bad guys don't follow the rules. Only law-abiding citizens do.
100%. I'm seeing an insurgence of liberals now that are really interested in the Second Amendment ever since all of this ICE protests have been going on. And, of course, it's hard. I feel like I don't really fit in with a right or a left. I'm very much, individual liberty. That's all I care about. My property rights, my freedoms. And it's hard because you've got folks on the right that now reject this, amount of liberal people that are now interested in gun rights. I'm just why are we rejecting them? Oh, they don't care about it because ICE. Who cares? They want their gun rights. Let's encourage them to fight for them. So I think ultimately, the polarization of our nation really doesn't help any of these issues, because ultimately we're fighting over oh, well, now you want to care about gun rights. Well, guess what? Good. Let them care about gun rights now. Let's welcome them with open arms. And then this is one of the things I experienced when I was leaving the Democrat Party and just liberalism in general, is that I didn't have conservatives saying, well, you were no, they were welcome, come here. We love guns. We love you. I had to find out that conservatives weren't racist just because they were conservatives. Just, being a black and brown family, we kind of were scared. We were like, oh man, we're about to be in the racist town of the gun people. No, man, gun people love you if you love guns. That's my experience. It's anecdotal, but I would love for this experience to be everyone's experience, because I have been just welcomed, and I would like everyone to feel welcomed, even the new ones that are anti-ICE gun people now. It's cool. If you want to fight for our gun rights together, let's do this. Let's change our ways. Let's stop supporting candidates that are, pro, gun control or anti-gun legislature pushers. But folks don't understand until they start having problems. And I don't want the country to be traumatized into wanting to fight for their gun rights. But apparently that's what it looks. That's what it takes. It's like me. It's a tragedy or a sister. So unfortunately, it's looking like we need more and more tragedy. Not we need, but what's happening is people are experiencing more and more tragedy to then find that they actually do need to be able to defend themselves.
No, I couldn't agree more. And a great example of that, again, is, and I hate bringing this up over and over again, but it is the best example we have was COVID. It brought a lot of people seeing that they needed to take their own self-protection into their hands. And that was I wouldn't say it was a tragedy, but it was a fear thing. It was this fear of this, and we're seeing the same thing. It's a fear driving this. And you're absolutely right. As gun owners, and I say this all the time, when people bash people for buying cheap guns or bash people for buying a specific gun, I'm like, listen, they're taking the first steps. They're getting into this. Welcome them, bring them in. Don't put them down. We need more people in the fold, because the more we have in the fold, the more we will get pro Second Amendment legislation. And that is the goal, is to make the Second Amendment so strong that organizations like GOA and are no longer needed.
If you're like me, you are probably slightly addicted to your phone, and that means it is incredibly important who you choose as your cell phone provider.
And now it's time to switch your cell phone service over to Patriot Mobile, a freedom-loving brand that supports the Second Amendment and GOA's mission.
I am a customer of Patriot Mobile, as well as a big fan, because Patriot Mobile not only gives great nationwide coverage from the top 3 carriers, but they also support the Second Amendment.
Patriot Patriot Mobile is super easy to switch to. It only takes a couple minutes. You could keep your phone, keep your number, and they have a full US-based customer service.
This is why we are proud to be offering 1 month free service plus 15% off of every line with Patriot Mobile when you use code GOA.
Again, that's patriotmobile.com/GOA and use code GOA at checkout to get 1 month free and save 15% off on each additional line. We are at the point of the podcast where we go to our From the Soapbox. This is where we get a little spicy, even though we've been real spicy this whole time. This is where we get a really spicy topic. So do you have a spicy topic that you want to touch on?
Spicy topic. I mean, like everything is just so spicy, but I think I'm going to lean right into like the new gun owner experience because it's just coming out of SHOT Show, right? Like you see all these nerds and these gun nuts, and my experience as a new gun owner really was walking into the gun store. And of course, the guys all look the same. They're all kind of like big with a beard and, wearing a flannel. And they are nerding out. And I think they mean well. I don't think they are trying to scare new gun owners away. I think they are so excited that they want to talk about your 2-pound trigger weight, or whatever. And I'm like, why are we talking about 2-pound trigger weights to someone who's never had a gun before? Like, first of all, no, like, let's not do that. They're going to sneeze and have a negligent discharge. But I think it's important to remember that, like, we've got to stop nerding out a little bit when it comes to like welcoming new people, especially when you're welcoming new people from the political other side. Right. And it's very easy to think about like, oh, you're a gun person, you're like a right winger, but it's like, not quite, pro-liberty people can be right or left. Like it really doesn't matter. You can be like, I'm super pro-liberty when it comes to your social preferences. Like you want to be gay, trans, I kind of don't give a shit. Just don't tax me to pay for shit. That's all I care about. And the spiciness of this topic is that we really do have to welcome everybody, new gun owners, because we're going to continue to see a new surge of gun owners. It's been women and minorities for the last couple of years that are the greatest surge. And I think us existing gun owners need to do a better job of welcoming them as they are, not trying to convert them into someone who's really nerding out about the poundage of your trigger pull. Okay, fine. They got me. I now have modified triggers, but like, let them take the time to do it. Let's get them their first gun, like you said, because ultimately the first gun is all it took me. It took me that one gun. And then I started realizing that everyone was coming for that one gun that I worked so hard to get. And I think it's important also that, and I hate to say it, there's all these Instagram feeds that I'm seeing right now on the same topic. I don't know. Do you follow A Better Way 2A?
I don't think so. I've heard of it, but I don't think I follow it.
They're like a very, very pro 2A, but very left-leaning group. I love their content because I love all 2A content. And they're now having to come out with, hey, we're trying to curate lists of gun stores that you can go to where you won't feel judged. And I'm like, that's insane that we have to curate a list of gun stores that won't judge you. Every gun store needs to invite and welcome new gun owners. And I don't even know like if it should be a spicy topic, but I feel like it is a spicy topic because why are we not being welcoming as the gun community?
No, and I agree with you wholeheartedly on this. And my gripe and frustration is when people say anti-gun left. I mean, historically, the left has been anti-gun. However, there are a new surge, and we were just talking about this with somebody else. There's a new surge of those, what I would deem the moderate to kind of conservative left to kind of, starting to change their mind and go towards some of the conservative values, the liberty-driven values. And even though they're left-leaning, they're still pro-Second Amendment. So that should just be the anti-gunners versus the pro-gunners. That's how it should be written. And as somebody who has been behind the gun counter was working behind the gun counter for a very long time before I got fully into the industry, and I did like 6 years behind the gun counter. I talked to everybody from every walk of life. They were Democrat, they were Republican, they were libertarian, they were black, white, women, male, all of them, and you have to treat them all the same and go in. And as somebody, because I felt personally called out, it's fine. As a gun nerd myself, I handle my approach differently when it came to talking to people, because again, as a gun nerd, you want to nerd out about the gun, but if you start talking to people who are just getting into this, you have to kind of things that because you said it early on, what's a muzzle, what's this, you're learning all these things. This is new to them. So I had to back off on my approach and go, listen, these people are just getting into this. So they might not understand the technical terms, and to be blunt and the biggest thing, and everybody knows it, they'll call a magazine a clip, and you correct them, but you got to figure out a way, go, hey, yes, I understand. You've heard the term clip from movies and stuff like that. It's actually called a magazine. I just want to make sure, because people around here are going to get crazy with you. There are crazy people out there, but it's the same thing as being welcoming and understanding the person and what their needs are before you go, okay, there's a difference between somebody who can spend $300 on a gun and is looking for something for self-protection, and then there's the difference between somebody who wants to spend $4,000 on a custom Wilson Combat or Staccato with a 3-pound trigger and all this stuff. You got to understand that from the gun, and it can be hard, because people behind the gun counter are so passionate about what they do and their love of the industry that they just tend to nerd out. And that's where I'll tell them, like, when I would see it with staff that I was managing, I'd be like, hey, take a deep breath. They're new to this. You can tell they're new to this. You got to treat them like they're new.
You're going to scare them.
Yeah.
Because that's what it made me feel, overwhelmed and scared, to be like, I'm never going to learn all of this. Maybe I shouldn't buy a gun, like that's the last thing you want them to think, is that this is too much information. I'm not smart enough. I'm not techie enough. And the guys at my gun store, love them to death. I get it now, but they brought out all their, you're new? Well, let me show you. And then they went to the trunk and got like 10 shotguns out. I was like, I want a shotgun for the house. Well, but have you heard of, Jerry Michalik? And I'm just like, no, I haven't. Like, can I get a shotgun for the house? Like, no, you need to check out my 10 shotguns that I just happen to have in my trunk that I carry everywhere with me, because I need everyone to know about my beautiful Benelli. Like, so yeah, I mean, it happened to me and I was super scared, but also like, there's folks that you're actually going to put off like long-term for that. And I think, I didn't mean for you to feel personally attacked. I have become you now. And it is hard, because we're passionate, we care, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is an opportunity. But at the same time, it's like, it's almost like when you're thinking about a 12-year-old who wants to learn how to drive a car, not a 16-year-old who maybe, has been in cars where their friends have, showed them how to drive, but more of like a baby that's going from like the car seat to maybe actually learning what a steering wheel does, maybe learning for the first time that there's actually a gas pedal and a brake. Like, we have to kind of treat, new folks like that, and also like do it in like a super positive, like positively reinforced, loving way. And also like really, really be careful to stay away from, I think, like political ideation when it comes to the gun stores. Like, one thing that annoys me, is like all the MAGA stuff I see in my gun store. Like, mind you, like, it's cool. Like, express yourself, but it does scare people, because then they walk in and they're like, I'm not going to feel accepted because I see MAGA stuff. Whether you're MAGA or not doesn't matter. It's the fact that it's really displaying to one ideology and alienating the other. I think it will be better to just kind of, just keep it pro gun. But I'm not going to tell people how to run their gun store either. It's like,
no, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, before we got to wrap up, I have to ask you this. We ran into each other behind stage at the Gundies, and you won Emerging Brand of the Year. So what was that experience like for you, as being a new brand with the people recognizing you as this awesome brand?
Oh my gosh. It was like out of body experience is all I can say, because it was, first of all, I was like sure that I wasn't going to win. I literally, like, before we walked in, I was like, we're not going to win. Let's just have some drinks, like let's have some fun. I thought Allied Threads had it, because they had like 100K followers. I was like, ain't no way. Like I had like maybe 30K followers, but, I did earnestly try. I did like a whole 15-day giveaway where I was like, you can win a bag if you vote and all this stuff. Cause I was like, let me at least try. Like, what am I going to complain about if I actually tried? And then, like I can't complain if I didn't try. So we did try, but I think what was crazy is that it showed that like the girls showed up because we are very niche. Like Cakes is not necessarily like out there. We've existed as a brand for just over a year now, like a year and like 3 months at this point. And in our year and 3 months, we went from like 0 to 10,000. Like it was just like insane. And the fact is that not only are we getting these customers that are like giving us a chance, but we're getting customers that like will actually show up to like support us as a brand. And I almost said this at the Gundies and I was like, oh, I caught myself. Because what I wanted to say in the speech, and you can kind of see me like start backtracking, was I was like, everybody that took time out of their day to vote on this stupid, I was like, this is so dumb. Like, you're going to go take time out of your day to go to some website and like vote. Like, that's to me, I was trying to be thankful, but it came out kind of, I was like, oh, let me just not say that. But I was like, yeah, that's like a big deal. We have jobs. Like, but you did this for me. Like, thank you. And also there's a part of me that was like, dang, like if we made this much success in our first year, that means like one, we're doing something right. And two, like, I think people have been waiting for this. I think women have been waiting to be like active in the 2A space. And I think now is the time. Like we're doing it now. Like Project Gunway is now a thing. There's going to be another Project Gunway next year. We're now actually like brands are starting to make stuff that are more feminine and deployable. I still think Cakes does the best job of being the cutest bag out there, but it's not scary to me to have other brands want to join this space and make cute feminine bags for women, because Cakes only has one goal, which is arm every woman. So if you don't choose Cakes, that's fine. You choose to carry your gun is what matters.
No, I love that. Well, hopefully we will, our audience who are listening to this will see you at National Women's Range Day and Goals and all the events GOA is putting on this year, and come and hang out with us and get to hang out with you.
Absolutely. Super excited for it.
Awesome. Well, before we go, a couple things. First off, go ahead and shout out where people can find you, how they can get a hold of you.
If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's at cakes.concealed. Cakes is spelled just like you would spell any birthday cake. And we also have an emerging new YouTube channel, which is just Cakes Concealed Carry, like YouTube/Cakes Concealed Carry. And that's where we're trying to really push more like educational content to help folks that have not just bought the bag and chose to carry, but like how to navigate different life scenarios and how to carry with children and everyday type of education geared around the Cakes system. So those are all my plugs.
Awesome. Well, before we go, we have a thank you gift. Our gift from our guest is brought to you by Palmetto State Armory. So you'll be receiving an email after the show to get your gift for our guest, brought to you by Palmetto State Armory for season 3. Guys, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Hit the little bell for notification. Leave a 5-star review on all podcasting hosts. Make sure to go to Gun Owners Goals to go to the Gun Owners Advocacy and Leadership Summit happening August 1st and 2nd in beautiful Des Moines, Iowa. So we will catch you guys on the next one.